art was first observed, and I went forward to the present time. I found a way to find a marker from 20,000 years ago, and then to superimpose upon it a marker, a contemporary marker, you know, the same object, like bulls in Lascaux caves and Picasso's bulls. And I just get the biggest kick out of finding these strange connections and trying to articulate them in art.
One of the biggest ambitious, perhaps audacious uses of art is to try and change what's happening with the world, literally changing the future of the world. And what you're trying to do is to use art to focus on that issue. I noticed you've talked to Steve Schneider, and I had a conversation with him. And he's been frustrated with the inability of scientists to make their case. Number one, they waffle, on the other hand, you know. But, and they just can't make the case for global climate change being a near certainty. And I think the issue here is, let's talk about how you hope to help Schneider and other scientists that are frustrated.
I'm going to answer that. A little preface. Earlier this year, a woman named Arabella Decker, a very important artist, a very deep thinker, was introduced to me by a president of a museum. And very quickly, she told me how passionate she was about the environment. And she said, I'm going to produce an art exhibition. I'm going to drive it all the way to New York, around the world if I have to. I want to have an impact. And I said, that's good. And I said, well, okay, nice meeting you. She said, I have selected you to make 50% of the art in this art exhibition. Now, I had heard of her, but I never met her, and she had never been to my house. You know, she saw the painting you like, and that one. And
it shows I have a good taste, you see.
Yes. And so she said, will you do it? And I said, I agree. And as soon as I agreed, I said to myself, oh, by the way, this is her painting called Annihilation. It's not love, but by the way, it's 6 foot by 4 foot. And so when I accepted that challenge to make 5 extraordinary paintings on the environment, I started to think about what it takes to be extraordinary, and I started to try to learn about the topics, and that's when I started to realize what you said about Steve and the other scientists. They are beaten. The discussion from a scientific perspective about climate change in the world has never been good. It's going downhill, and there is no hope in sight. You know, they have one approach, the approach of reason, logic, and science. And as I worked on these paintings, discovered the problem out there that they're facing. And I, teaming up with Arabella, have developed a strategy for helping the scientists, helping the public. And it's based on using the art.
And your strategy is?
My strategy is this. Steve works in part for Stanford and the Woods Institute. And I'm just using this as an example. But there are hundreds, maybe thousands of these brain trusts, centers all around the world who are working to mitigate climate change. What Arabella and I are doing, we're going to announce this momentarily, we are going to make our art exhibition, which is called Climate Change, available to any of those centers anywhere in the world. And wherever our exhibition goes, even if it's just in a candy store, it is a newsworthy event. But when you put it in one of the world centers of climate change, you put a good, powerful art exhibition on climate change with a great education, scientific institution, what do you get? I think you get a big bang. That big bang is reported in the newspapers, on the press, on the internet, and it brings focus to that institution, its people, its ideas, and it's unfeathered in a way. And it's not an event where the fossil fuel people can step in and try to distort the message. Because this is a message of art and the sciences coming together.
Well, if I was doing PR for an oil company, I'd point out that you're using oil paints here.
And I'd say two things. We are stuck as a society, as a people, where we are reliant on the fossil fuel industry. But what we all have to do is work as quickly as possible and effectively as possible to transition to clean, renewable energy. And then, to be cute, I don't use oil.
Okay.
But I'm sure the acrylic probably comes from oil.
Acrylic comes from.
We have about 3 minutes left.
Let's talk about June 12th.
June 12th is an event called Can Civilization Survive? A Hunt for a Solution. It's a gift given to me by the organization that has this media TV center and I'd say it's a gift for the public. It's an event where I get to talk about the problem the scientists have around the world and to say two things. We are producing a documentary called Painting to Change the World, where we document how we paint and how we work with the big science entities around the world to gain attention. And it also is an opportunity to talk about the art and to talk about this strategy, this plan that I developed for using the art, applying the art to help the scientists, and so that it creates a model for all other artists and all of those other big scientific organizations that we just can't take care of all of them or help all of them, but we want to show all the other artists. Go call Princeton, go call the Potsdam Institute of Climate Research. Go and offer them paintings to put them right in their buildings and bring the press to those buildings and to the people.
So if the press wants to go on June 12th, where do we go, and the public?
The public comes to the Mid-Peninsula Media Center that's basically at the intersection of San Antonio Road and Charleston, but they should go to the Mid-Peninsula Media Center's website or go to my website, killen.com, and they'll find address and details. And I do hope the public comes and joins us.
Great.
And Jay, you were a wonderful host. My guest has been J. Thorwaldson. He's the editor of the Palo Alto Weekly. I'm Michael Killen.